started. Okay, it's recording and the little AI thing is blinking. So, and Jane is joining from Mala, and I see Robin. So a lot of our partners are here. So that's important. And yeah, people are still sort of trickling in. So I'll still keep letting them come in as they show up. And we're at 33 people and 1 minute past. So it's
Excellent.
Your pleasure, Madam President.
That sounds fantastic. Then I will minimize this, get to that. Let's call the meeting to order. Sounds like a plan. We will go over the minutes, which everyone should have. Are there any changes to the minutes or anything that needs to be corrected?
Carrie, technically, I think the minutes say that the deleting project is going to be done on December 1st, but in reality, that's when you need to have all your things deleted, and then Equinox will actually purge in January.
Good correction. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Would anyone like to make a motion to accept the minutes with that correction?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jake. Anyone with a second?
Mary Beth will second.
Thank you. Any last minute discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye or wave.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Any noes? All right, great. We're going to move on to the executive board reports. So we're up to the 2023-24 annual report, and it is a voting item. So Steve, are you going to do that one?
Yeah, I can manage that for you. So this is our first ever annual report, as near as I can tell. I don't think Missouri Evergreen's ever done an annual report. It is definitely best practice for a nonprofit consortium or nonprofit of any time, whether you're a consortium or not, to do an annual report. And so so I created one. I think there's lots of room for improvement. I think there's lots of things that we can do better next year, but this is a start. So the idea was just a simple 4-pager, front, back, 2-fold inside. So this is our cover, and then this talks a little bit about services, some statistics, comparisons, a couple of quotes. The quotes came from the state library survey. So when you responded to the state library survey, I found a couple of interesting quotes, and I included those. We have a couple of highlights from things that we did, including the new libraries that we brought on board and projects from FY 23-24, and then a message from the president. And this is the type of format, if I'm going to do it again next year, this is the type of format I'd like to use. But of course, we could do something different next year too. And then the other inside page was talking mostly finances on this side. So financial highlights, some financial comparisons last year versus this year, and then a couple of metrics that I put together. So so one of them was taking sort of that standard ILL cost and multiplying it out. So like if you had to do all of your resource sharing that you do through Missouri Evergreen through OCLC ILL, this is what it would cost instead. And that alone, I mean, that's a saving of $4.8 million if just doing that. We also, also did one in terms of cataloging savings. And not as significant a savings, $164,000 savings there, but still savings. And then in terms of ILS, and so I used a Colorado study in terms of hosting, and just basically discovered that each library would save about $43,000, or saves $43,000 by being part of the consortium as opposed to trying to go alone. And then the back page is all of our members, as well as contact information. So so this is our annual report. My let me go ahead and stop sharing. So my experience with annual reports with not-for-profits is that The staff or board puts it together, and then the membership looks at it and then says, yes, this is what we did, or no, this is not what we did, and then ask the staff or board to redo it. And then once it's done, then we can put this on our website, we can share it with our partners, we can use it as a recruiting document, we can use it for any number of things. So Carrie, what I'm asking as your executive director is a motion for the membership to approve the 23-24 annual report. And of course, I'd entertain any sort of questions or comments, or make any corrections that need to be made as well before adopting.
Okay, well, let's make a motion first to adopt it.
This is Krista Van Haraway. I move we adopt the report as Steve has just shown us.
Thank you. Any second?
I second. Gailey
Thank-
Harris.
Thank you, Gailey. Okay, discussion. I think it was fantastic. And I really, really enjoyed reading it. I thought it was really, really well done. Does anybody have any corrections or anything that you can see? Or comments?
My comment is a thanks to Steve for the time that he put into it. It's great, and it's definitely something that is absolutely necessary from now on.
Agreed. Agreed. And Mary Beth said agreed. It's fantastic. Thank you, Steve. So well written. Okay, so without any further ado, all in favor, say aye or wave.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Anyone opposed? All right, so that has been adopted. Thank you, Steve, again for your work on that. So the next thing is the final 24-25 budget and financial report.
Yeah, and I can take that for you, Carrie.
Okay, I didn't know if Shannon was here. Okay.
Yeah, Shannon's here. But this was okay. So this is our budget essentially, and you all remember this is the budget that we approved a long time ago. But one of the things that we wanted to do with the budget is to put in actuals, and you know, to put as opposed to projected numbers. So what we have now is the you know, our budget, you know, our actuals as of August 31st of 2024. When you look at our graphs, those all go to the end of the fiscal year. When you look at the budget itself, it now has our approved numbers in it, as well as our actuals for 2024, as opposed to our projections. And then there were no other changes. I just made those changes, really, is all I did. Just kind of brought them up to date. But I think in order to, let me stop sharing for right now. No, I'll leave it just in case people have a question or something. But I think best practice would be, now that we've actually updated it for the most current end of year information, I'd like to have the membership adopt the final budget as opposed to the proposed budget. As I said, substantially there is no difference. There's no difference in the budget. It really is just updating all the end of year stuff from FY 23-24.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to accept that?
So moved. This is Ron.
Thank you, Ron. Any second?
I'll second, Shannon.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion about it, the final numbers? All right, well, hearing none, I will take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? All right, well, thank you to Steve and Shannon for all of their hard work throughout the year on the budget. I'm just appreciate it being in good hands like that. And so, all right, we're going to move on to the proposed, we have some proposed bylaws changes. We recently had a Missouri Evergreen board retreat, which was a wonderful day. We talked about many things, but two things actually came up that do require a change in our bylaws. So therefore, the membership does need to vote on it. One of them is a change in our operational year. We just need to get one operational year. Basically, We have several right now that we're running under. We have an operational year of July 1st to June 30th. We have a fiscal year of September 1st to August 31st. We have an election year of basically of an MPLD meeting in June to the next meeting. And so there's also the state library grant year that we try to keep a hold of that too. So we have so many dates and deadlines where none of us are really sure. So our proposal is this: starting next September 2025, MEC would like to align the operational year, the officer terms, and the fiscal year to all be September 1st to August 31st. So we're all going to be the same exact thing. The officers will still be elected in June, but they will not take their seats until September, which allows a little overlap and a little shadowing of jobs. You'll kind of get a feel for what's about to happen to you. So the budget will still cover September 1st to August 31st annually. I think that will simplify everything way down for everyone. So that's the first proposal on the table that does need to be voted on.
And Carrie, if I could, what
Go
we're
ahead.
doing is we're just taking the temperature of the membership. Ultimately, we're going to have to write this into the bylaws, bring the bylaws back, and do a vote on the bylaws, which require a 2/3 majority. So this is just taking the temperature and making sure that everybody's kind of on board with the recommendation.
So are we voting or just talking?
Yeah, no, let's go ahead and vote, because I mean,
Okay.
if we vote, then what that says is the membership is in favor of this, pending ultimately a change in the bylaws.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Is there, I mean, let's make the motion in the second, and then we can have some discussion on it. Does anyone want to make a motion to condense all this into one operational year?
Katie?
Thank you, Katie. Any second?
Kate, I'll second.
Thank you, Kate. All right. Is there any discussion, any concerns about this, or any comments?
It's a good idea.
It is. I think the other way is very confusing. So I don't know how Steve's kept it all straight, or, you know, the officers and everybody have kept it straight for years. I have a
whiteboard over here that helps me keep it straight.
There we go. That should not be necessary, really. So hopefully this will help. So all in favor, aye or a wave?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Any opposed to this? Okay, thank you. The second proposed change to the bylaws is about board members. And this has concerned me personally for just a little bit. The board's current composition is too small to allow sufficient at-large seats without requiring nearly every member to hold an officer seat. Our consortium is getting bigger and bigger, and the growth of the consortium membership suggests that more representation on the executive board is warranted. So we discussed this, and the board should be expanded to 12 members, acknowledging that the chair should only vote in the event of a tie, keeping an uneven number for most business. So with 12 members, without the chair voting, you still have 11 members. So therefore, there should never be, you know, if there's a weird tie somehow, then the chair would vote. So that will expand out. So the recommendation is that at the June 5th, 2025 general membership meeting, 6 seats will be open for election. 4 seats will expire in 2028. 1 seat will expire in 2026. 1 seat will expire in 2027. Thus, 4 seats will expire every 3 years for a total of 12 seats. Was that clear as mud? Okay. But that's okay. It's a rotating thing that hopefully we can get a lot of the members too on the board. We want representation from all sizes of libraries, all different fields out there. I love the consortium, and I want everyone to feel represented. And so that way you never lose the majority vote. Exactly. So if you don't mind, let's make the motion for this. Anyone would like to make a motion to do this?
This is Krista Van Herway. I'll move.
Oh,
Okay, so
second.
Krista did, Mary Beth seconded. Thank you both. So is there any discussion, any concern about any of this?
Carrie, I see that Katie has a raised hand. I'm not sure if that's just left over from voting or if she has a question.
Oh, okay,
Sorry, yeah, that was left over.
Okay, okay.
okay. Okay. I think it's a great idea. I like seeing more representation because I just think it's a great idea all the way around. So, so all in favor say aye or wave.
Aye.
Thank you. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, well, thank you. That is great. I appreciate all of that. So we are down to the executive board report.
Yeah, executive director's report. So
I'm sorry, executive director's report. I don't know what I wrote down.
I'm going to make this real quick because I've got everything written in your packet and you can review that. Again, just to back up a second, what those last two actions, we will do a bylaws revision at some point in the near future. All of those will be included. They will be included and codified before the June deadline, which is the real important thing, and we'll get those going. And probably more stuff coming from the retreat as time goes. I would say probably the most important things for me to talk about are deadlines that are rapidly approaching. As we know, the MLC migration is actually happening a week from today, which is a real big deal. It's, as we all presumed and knew, it's complex. We are having bumps as we are getting closer. But certainly I would let anybody talk more about that if they want to. We are running into, well, I should say that Rogan has said that there has been a partial upload of the MLC records, I think in the production server this morning, and you're going to start seeing more and more MLC records effective today and tomorrow. So that's a big one. Another one that I want to make sure everybody's on board, because this dropped off my radar. Maybe I was the only one that it dropped off my radar, but MLC is going live with resource sharing on go live date. Many people have a slight delay. MLC is not. And part of that is because they're sophisticated. They've been doing resource sharing for a long time. They kind of know what they're getting into. They knew the job was dangerous when they took it. So we're going to let them do it, but that's going to really open up resource sharing for everybody starting a week from today. The next big deadline to talk about is MessageBee. MessageBee is rolling along quickly. I just got a confirmation from MessageBee today that they've got all of our schedule in place. And they're starting to work with Rogan to get everything put together that needs to be put together. We've got our messages. I will say our messages are generic. They probably need improvement, but they stay within the 160 character limitation, and we will have time to do all of that fixing as we get up and going. For me, it was a matter of getting lowest common denominator and then get it out and then get it improved after it's out. Let's see. Oh, in terms of the deadline for MessageBee, their target is the end of the month. However, every indication is that it will be sooner than that. So it'll be August 31st or sooner that we'll start having MessageBee text notifications. The Aspen installation is moving forward with the legacy libraries. I want to report on that. The Aspen installation, obviously for MLC, is coordinated with their go live, but the legacy libraries is still looking at August 31st as when the server will be available. Although Rogan and some of the directors are talking about maybe, making it, come on a little later, depending upon what may be happening in their particular library, which I think is all fine. So from a production standpoint, be ready on August 31st, and the legacy libraries will come on thereabouts August 31st or sometime shortly thereafter. We've had KPAC meetings, and we're starting to move forward on that. I think that's being That's been really successful. I've been working a lot with my HR pros and all the stuff that we have to do in terms of our HR environment. The latest thing is this. This is our employee manual that I'm editing to make sure that our employee manual is in good shape. So otherwise, just read the 2 report documents that are in the packet. And if you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. But I think, you know, in effort of time, those were probably the most important things to talk about.
Thank you. Thank you, Executive Director, since I renamed you. And Patrick Wall, indeed you are. Okay. So now we're down to our financial report.
Okay.
Please tell me that's Shannon. Thank you.
Yes, yes, it's
Okay.
me. Let me see if I can share my screen.
Excellent.
Let's see. Sorry, guys, give me a minute.
It's all good.
Can you see the financial report on your screen now?
We got it, Shannon.
Perfect. Okay. These are the end of fiscal year 2024 financial reports as provided by Amigos. As we've discussed already this morning, our fiscal year ends on August 31st, and we started the FY 2025 new fiscal year on September 1st. The first thing I want to note, I want to make note of, is this $126,000 that you see under total bank accounts. This was our cash on hand amount on August 31st. And that will, I want to discuss that a little bit further after we finish looking at the balance sheet. The other amounts you'll see on the balance sheet are accounts receivable, $95,000 in accounts receivable. Some of that is from our archive billings, and some of that will be the final grant funding request that we're still waiting to receive. The next line you see is prepaid expenses. So often we pay for the next fiscal year in the month of August. And so we're prepaying expenses out of fiscal year 24 for fiscal year 25. And the way that we reflect that is on the balance sheet with a prepaid expenses category. And so at the end, the total assets or the total equity that Missouri Evergreen has as of August 31st is $334,408. Not all of that is liquid assets. The liquid amount is this cash on hand or total bank accounts of $126,000. One of the things the reason I want to kind of point out the bank account balance at the end of the fiscal year is last year we decided that we wanted to try to invest some of our funds and hope to begin receiving some interest revenue. We did do $50,000 in a money market account last year, an interest-bearing money market account. We've earned about $1,268 in interest. We're right at about 10 months that we've had that money invested in that money market account. What I don't get right now from Amigos that I'm going to request is statements on that money market account so we can track the interest rate. It might benefit us to look at maybe investing those dollars in an investment pool because interest rates are falling. I know that's what we're talking about locally here at my library. As interest rates on money markets and CDs continue to fall over the next year, we might make more interest if we look at investing through an investment pool. I'm not sure yet. The thing that kind of gives us an extra obstacle in investing our funds is cash flow, particularly when we hit August and we're prepaying expenses for the new year and we have not yet received our Missouri Evergreen membership fees or the next payments on our grant. And so that's just a little challenge for us. But I just wanted to make sure we pointed out that sometimes you see this big $334,000 amount in assets, but not all of that is available to invest throughout the entire year. The next thing, any questions about the balance sheet before I go into the budgets versus actuals for the end of the year? I can't see any of your faces, so unmute yourself if you're. No? Okay. No one ever asked any questions. I feel I'm either really great at explaining this or here's the end of year budgets versus actuals. One of the things I wanted to mention, if you look at our total revenue line, revenue came in at about 10% over what we budgeted. Some of that was in our Missouri Evergreen fees. Some of those fees were a little bit higher than what we projected. And then a larger portion of that was actually in grant dollars. And part of that is that we applied for an additional grant this year for the Aspen Discovery Layer. So revenues came in about $40,000 more than what we projected for the year. If we go down to total expenses, we were right on the money with total expenses, actuals versus what we projected. We're almost at 100%. And so our budget surplus for the end of fiscal year 2024, or our net positive revenue position, was $69,861. Any questions about the FY 2024 budget versus actuals? If not, I want to show you one more thing. This gives us a 5-year, the end of fiscal year 2024 gives us a 5-year kind of historical account of what it cost to run Missouri Evergreen. We moved from Mobius in 2019 and became an independent 501c3 organization in 2020. And so we have now 5 full years of financial data that shows us what it costs to operate. And I just kind of wanted to show you real quick what that looks like. This line in yellow is Missouri Evergreen fees. So you can kind of see from 2020 what we were collecting in Missouri Evergreen fees based on what we collected in 2024. Of course, that change is due to bringing in new members. Grant funding is this next kind of yellow bar. Grant funding stayed pretty solid or pretty stable across the last 5 years. You see this bigger amount in 2024, again, based on the Aspen Discovery Layer grant. And so this green line here is showing total revenues and the change in that over 5 years. So we had a pretty big jump last year from the previous year. And a lot of that has to do with both the growth in members. So our Missouri Evergreen fee revenue is increasing because of it, bringing on new members, and then the change in grant funding. Skipping down to total revenues, or sorry, total expenses. The total expenses for the last 5 years running Missouri Evergreen. And then the budget surplus from 2020. 2020, we had a budget surplus of $1,215. And then that's kind of been pretty, it's not a stable line there. And that's part of that's based on changes in what our goals are for that year. If we take on a new platform, if we take on new development, some things we've developed in the past were the Simple Reporter, we invested in that project. And so our budget surplus was less that year. And then finally, I just want to look at this end of year equity line in blue, where we started in 2020 versus where we've ended up here in 2024. Our bottom line, $334,408. We do have a reserve policy that says we will hold at least 50% of the previous year's operating expenses in our reserve, a restricted reserve balance. That means we're starting off FY 2025 with $186,800 in reserve. Of that, $334,000 in equity that we have. We also have a restricted fund called the Development Fund. Starting out FY 2025, that is $13,544. That's the fund we use to pay for improvements in the Missouri Evergreen app, or if we want to take on a special development project like the Simple Reporter project we've done in the past. And that leaves us an unrestricted equity balance of $134,000. Questions about any information from the financial reports? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for explaining that. You're just really good at explaining it. That's why there's no questions.
Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. That's why I let you do it. This is a voting item, so we do need to vote on it, yes. So I need someone to vote to accept this.
This is Krista. I move that we accept the report as given by Shannon.
Thank you, Krista. Jake, did I see your hand?
Yes, I'll second.
I thought your hand moved a little. Okay, so we have an acceptance and a second. Any discussion before we move to accept?
Hey, Carrie, just something real quick.
Do tell.
As you all know, general membership, we always have someone from Amigos. I believe Kristen is on the line. So Kristen, did you have anything else that you wanted to add or point out about our finances?
No, Shannon did a really good job explaining it. I did just send you, Shannon, those investment statements, and I'm happy to include those with the financial reports going ahead. But yeah, no, Shannon does a great job.
I agree. Thank you. Thank you for piping it up, though. We appreciate hearing from our partner. So
Thank you, indeed. Okay, well, without further discussion, all in favor of accepting the financial report, say aye. Wave. Thank you so much. Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. We're going to move on to committee reports. In your package, you should have the cataloging the reports report, and the onboarding. I want to give any of them a chance to say anything if they feel like they want to add something.
Carrie, I'll talk for just a second.
Go ahead.
I wanted to just give a couple updates of things that Liz and I and well, we all do together. Liz and I have been working with Equinox on the permissions group for cataloging for the permissions overhaul that we're kind of doing. That is really aligning well with MLC coming on. That kind of has worked well together to really help guide us what we're going to do. And it's a good transition period to go into these new permissions. We did not have a September meeting, so I don't really have much to report as far as any discussions that we had then. But as you all know, Marchive is going out of business. Steve and I and Liz have talked a bit about it. This is something that is not on the front burner right now. We have a lot of other things going on. But it is definitely something that's in the back of our mind. We will be addressing it at some point. Something to keep in mind, though, is when we change a vendor like this, we have, 4 million items in our catalog. So if we are going to upload that full catalog to a vendor, that initial cost of that is going to be substantial, and that is not something that we had planned on. So it's still definitely something that we're in discussions about. I'm not saying one way or the other what we're doing yet, but we are thinking about it. And we do know that authority processing is not something that we don't want to have, but if it's something that we have to kind of do ourselves for a while, it's something that we can handle. Between Liz and I and the committee, we can make sure that most major things get done. So, and then the only other thing is our upcoming meetings. Both our October and November meeting dates are changed from our usual schedule. So our October meeting is October 21st. And then our November meeting is November 18th. And then we just gone ahead and canceled our December meeting because we kind of always cancel our December meeting. Who wants to meet during Christmas time? I am happy to answer any questions. Steve has talked about in the chat how Equinox they have a relationship with Backstage, which is the other kind of major player other than Marchive in authorities processing. So he's definitely been talking with Equinox about getting a quote from Backstage. And thank you for changing the cataloging meetings on the meeting calendar, Steve, as well.
Carrie, I have just a couple of things for circulation. I really encourage you to read through the report because there are some fairly important things. The one thing I want to make sure everybody is totally aware of is our aged circulations have created issues with our current circulation reports. And so I've included information on what Tony has worked with Equinox to do to fix that. But Tony, and I don't know if Tony's on the call or not, but Tony said, really go back and check all of your circulation reports that you are currently using, because there's a good chance that it's missing some items. So he also encouraged us to either talk to him or talk to Equinox to find out what fields or what group of information it's pulling from. Your report may be fine, but there's also a high probability that it's not. And so it's worth checking, especially with all the state reports that are needing to be done right now. It's worth checking on that. So that was one really important thing. Just this week, a new setting has been added for 1 month hold protection. So this has been put in at the request of the MLC libraries. They wanted to have a way to hold their things for just a short time to possibly display them, see if their own people wanted to check these things out, but they also wanted to move them on to being able to circulate faster. And so as of just, I don't know if it was Tuesday, something pretty at the beginning of the week, there is now a 1 month option. So you could pick 1 month, 3 month, or 6 month hold protection on your new items. So our next meeting is October 22nd. Is there any questions that I could answer for anyone?
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Carrie, this is Leanne. So I was just going to do a quick update with the CAN committee. So we just had our meeting yesterday at 1 and went over a few things. One of the big things to mention is we are planning, Mary Kay and I, we're planning a regional refresh throughout the state coming the week of November 18th through the 22nd, pending executive board approval and getting all that lined out. So just wanted to give everyone a heads up that it is coming up in November to plan to have your staff attend. This is just going to be an opportunity for everyone in the different regions to meet and go over some of the basics, kind of do a refresh training with the new staff, if there's new directors, and just have an opportunity for everyone to brainstorm, make some comments, suggestions, just go over a lot of the basics really with this. So it'll be, we'll have, I believe it's the 5 different regions. So every day that week, there'll be a meeting at one of the different regions, and we'll get all of that lined out. So hopefully everyone can plan to attend that. I think it'll be a really good opportunity. And then we are planning also in March coming up, once we get through with this, we're planning a mentor the mentor sessions to kind of help plan better for the incoming libraries. And let's see, our next meeting is November 13th at 1 o'clock. And I do encourage anyone that has interest in joining the meeting and wants to have some input to please join us for these meetings. The meeting is on the Evergreen calendar. And if you have questions, you can reach out to me. So, and if there's any other questions.
Leanne, I do have, I just want to clarify, my first clarification is the meetings or the regional trainings that Leanne is talking about are not our regional catalog trainings, nor are they the circulation ones, correct, Leanne?
Right.
This is just kind of a general overview. Okay, I just wanted to be
Yeah,
sure
this
that
is just a general, it might, it'll cover some questions with some cataloging, I'm sure, but yeah, just basically it's going to be more of circulation duties.
But is it the official circ training?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, this is more of just a general, whatever any libraries have questions about answering. So, but yeah, this is going to be separate than the circulation and the cataloging. Um,
Okay.
And Carrie,
Thank you all.
I just want to make
Go ahead.
sure that everybody's on board in terms of process. So what's going to happen with the CAN committee and their regional training? So first of all, that's a response that we've been hearing since I came on board, which is we need to have additional training, essentially a lot like our migration training, but after migration, because we have new employees or everyone slept since then and they need, so that's where this is coming from. So yeah, there'll be a pinch of catalog and a pinch of circulation and maybe a little bit of acquisitions and a little bit of reports. It'll kind of feel a little bit like an abbreviated migration training, but for people who've already kind of seen the system before. That's my take on it. Second thing, in terms of process, the way process for training works is that the committees have to come to the executive board and the executive board has to officially approve the use of funds. That hasn't happened yet, but again, given what everyone has said, given what the executive board has been saying and directing, I believe that the executive board will approve this at the October 24th meeting, which will put it in line to do this in November. But members of the executive board, if you are feeling like this is not going to happen and you're going to filibuster and you think it's a terrible idea, please let us know now so that we can start making the appropriate adjustments. But I think this is a great idea.
I do see some questions in the comments. It is going to be an in-person training in the 5 different regions. And then we will have another tier training for like administrative things that will be available, and that'll most likely just be online.
And local admin training was the most common. Last year, the most common request in the survey was reports training. This year, it's been local admin training. So again, it's a sort of responding to what you all say you want.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Before we move on to Jane. All right. Go ahead, Jane.
I am here, maybe. I had electricity went out like 8 minutes ago and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not in Florida. So hello everyone. Just a couple of things. MLC. None of us know what's going to happen with them with resource sharing. They're 5-day-a-week libraries already. I've notified Henry what's happening. We'll see. So MLC libraries, if you're here, please just stay on top of it. Any kind of issues, something weird is happening, let us know immediately because we can reach out to Henry day of, which is so much easier than 2 weeks later. But I will say, as the Cosmopolitan Patrick said, they are very good at always reporting because they do have 5-day-a-week service. So I don't anticipate problems on that end from them letting us know what's going on. For the rest of you, you may be seeing a whole lot more. If you start seeing huge numbers, let us know if it's before the end of the month, because we need to probably let Henry know to adjust vehicle times or whatever. Also, anything that you think is important for me or Katrina to know, or Marcy or Kayla, put it on the spreadsheet. It is getting to be cold and flu time and people take fall vacations. And so if you just email one of us, if that person happens to be gone, that just kind of sits in the email till that person returns. But if you put it on the spreadsheet, Marcy, Kayla, Katrina, and I are always looking at that. Whoever's in, if everybody's out, somebody's on that spreadsheet every day. So anything, totes, you need bags. You're getting new carpet, so you're going to be closed. You have a question about a damaged book. If you put it on there, then one of us will reach out that day, unless it's after 4 or 4:30, and then it'll be the next day. So just a kind of reminder. I know sometimes we have new people or people who just haven't had that come up in their library at that time. So just a reminder, and I will put that, it's on our website. It's the same one you report problems with. If it's not a problem, it's just a notification. There's a nice other. If it's supplies, there's a supply drop down. So there's like 3 or 4 options on that drop down. we will be going out for bid with an RFP toward the end of the year, calendar year. So it's very important that we have all of our stats accurate, because we give all of that to anybody who's bidding on our, courier route. So just another reason to make sure everything's accurate, because they're going to use that when they design routes and put in a bid for us. And we want that to reflect honestly what everybody's doing. The other thing is, just a reminder, I'm not on any of your internal dialogues with each other. So any of your listservs, I'm not on. So if you're talking about things that have to do with MALA, please make sure we know about it, not just you all deciding or talking about it. It's fine. You can talk all you want, but if it's a problem you need to have resolved, nobody from MALA is going to see that on the listserv. So just let us know if you're having any kind of issues, because we like to solve them, as I said, sooner rather than later. If it's just general questions like, hey, how do you print out your labels or whatever, that's, you can easily get that answer from your coworkers or your other libraries, but we can also give you that answer too. So just remember that. And if you guys have like group meetings, like, Southeast Missouri libraries meet together, I'm always happy to come to them if I'm available, if that would be helpful to, bring you some bags in person, talk to you in person about how things are, kind of give you a little rundown in person like we did in April, like on our website. So I have a pretty, a lot of ability to change my schedule around to make those things happen. So just thought I'd throw that out. We have 2 webinars this month: getting the interview, getting the job, advice from hiring managers. Oh, I saw Steve has already put that in. Thank you, Steve. That is next week, October 17th at 2 p.m. and October 24th at 10 a.m. Both of those are Thursdays. Creating a balanced and inclusive collection for Spanish speaking and bilingual patrons. And I would pretty much guarantee or put a bet on that all of you have Spanish speaking or bilingual patrons. If they're not coming to your library, they're in your community. And so this will be really, I think, a very fascinating webinar. Years ago, I did Spanish collection development nationwide, and so I'm anxious to see how it's changed, because I'm sure it has changed a lot. So questions? I'm sure there's questions out there. No?
Well, thank you, Jane. I appreciate that.
Sure, you bet.
Thank you.
If you think of a question, pop it in the chat.
Indeed. I appreciate it. All right, Robin, you're up.
Well, hello, everybody. Janet is off today, so it is my pleasure to be with you. I love the annual report, Steve. That's the work that you did on that is just incredible. And then Shannon, in looking at the financials, not everyone on this call was part of the process when Missouri Evergreen changed from being a part of Mobius to being self-sufficient. And I know how difficult that was, and there was a lot that went into that. Seeing the growth of the consortium, seeing how you have managed, starting off with just a board and now with the executive director and other staff, is just incredible. And all of you should be very, very proud of the progress that Missouri Evergreen has made. And just as a consortium, I think it just makes you all more connected than you would be otherwise. So that's me just saying, I'm so proud of this project. And I think a lot right now, because we're going to be transitioning to a new administration in, a month, will be the beginnings of that transition. And to think about the successes that we have had during this administration, I have to say that probably the biggest is our support of Missouri Evergreen. So we are just thrilled to continue to be a part of this consortium and to provide that grant funding as much as we can. So I felt like it's important for me to say as much as I love this consortium and can't wait to see it continue to grow. A couple of things, some of these things you already know. Public library survey will be due coming up the end of November. I can't remember exactly what the date is, but if you have any questions about the public library survey, Corey Mahalik is an expert on that and is always willing to answer your questions. It's just that, if you're new to it, it's absolutely intimidating. I admit it, it's intimidating. But if you've done it for a while, it's only a little bit intimidating. Still intimidating, but just a little bit intimidating. But we are here to help you to make sure that you get that data in accurately, because I know as Steve said in his annual report, or I guess that came from the survey, but we use that data nationally. They use that data. And for us, it's good for us to show the next administration truly the impact of libraries across the state. Speaking of the election, we are moving the public library forum, which is typically the first Tuesday of every month. We're going to move it to the second Tuesday, which will be the 12th of November, because we want to talk not just about the election and how it impacts personally us here at the state library with the Secretary of State's component of that, but you all have local elections as well. And I think it's important for us to think about what the impact could be on you locally. So I think waiting until after the election results are in makes sense for us to have a public library forum on that next Tuesday. So y'all should have the invite. If you don't have an invite, shoot me an email. Just for some reason we don't have you don't have the link for the public library forum. Gosh, we want as many libraries to attend these monthly public library forums as possible, but shoot me an email if you don't have the link to that. Gosh, I think that's really all of I don't have anything really specific. I just have lots of basic stuff related to talk about. We're continuing. We're opening up a summer library program grant. We'll open up next week. In beginning of 2025, you have your opportunities for what we call those long-term grants. So that'll be Tech Ladder, digitization, and Spotlight grants. The Spotlight we keep intentionally sort of generic. So you can spotlight whatever sort of literacy or demographic that you want to spotlight. And so we encourage you to apply for those. I know Terry has a summer library program grant session coming up. I think it's the 24th of this month. So I think that is probably all I have, Carrie, but I am here for any questions.
Great, thank you.
Right.
Anyone have any? Well, if not, we're going to move on to other matters, which sounds very exciting. Steve, do you have any other matters?
No, I have nothing myself, but of course we always just put this on the agenda so that anybody can bring anything to the full membership. So.
Okay.
Well, this is Terry York, and as the secretary, I'm looking at participants, and I see a couple that are just first names or a first name and initial. So if you could please either put in the chat or hop over to wherever your name is and right click, you can rename yourself so it's your full name and your library or whatever. But just let me know that you're here so that I can get you in the minutes.
Good point. Thank you, Terry. Anyone else?
I
Hi, this is Mary Beth from
Sorry,
St.
Mary Beth.
Joseph Public. Oh, sorry, Shannon.
Go ahead. Steve, go ahead.
Okay. I've got a couple of questions. They may be silly. I'll say that up front. So I know we're looking at both KPAC and Aspen, and I know they're not exclusive. So I'm guessing that if we decide to implement KPAC, we're one of the pilot libraries for Aspen, that we can just link to KPAC from Aspen. Correct? Since it's a kids catalog?
We are still very early in the implementation or the configuration, I guess I should say, of KPAC. But yeah, I think so. I mean, if you wanted to, if instead of Aspen, you wanted to have KPAC on the library of your, the screens of your in your children's library, if you have a children's version, you could have it start there as opposed to Aspen. You could also make a link to KPAC within Aspen. Yeah, all of those things I believe would be possible. But it's your choice. It's just to give you the flexibility, to have a children's only catalog if that's something you would like.
Gotcha. And then I have a question about message B. Am I correct that this is not something that we need to opt into? This is just going to be implemented consortium wide. And sorry, I can't speak.
Right, you are correct. We are implementing this consortium wide as a way of addressing the problem, the intermittent problems that we have with text notifications and text hosting services. So yeah, it's going to be implemented for everybody for your text notices.
Follow up to Mary Beth's question, is there going to be a change of the cert desk for that? We'll still enter the information into Webby the same way we've always done for text notices, and the back end will just change how they process it. Steve, I'm assuming that's how.
Well, what sort of information do you mean? Do you mean like the message body itself or the content?
Just like signing up a patron to start receiving text notices, that process will be the same?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think that changes at all. Right.
Okay, I thought so. And
Now,
then
unfortunately, I did have to create sort of like these generic basic messages to get things off the ground. So so we're going to have a lot of time maybe to tweak them and to get them better and to refine them. But for right now, they're kind of generic. I mean, you'll get a notice that'll say something like, your book is available at the library. Doesn't say which library, doesn't say which book. I mean, but it's generic. But we'll point you to the Missouri Evergreen OPAC so that you can go online and you can see which book and things like that. So yeah, sorry, Shannon, go ahead.
No, that's okay. And of course, you can see it in the Missouri Evergreen app. So
sure, right, yeah, of course.
You're telling your page. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to Robin and the Missouri State Library. She mentioned the Missouri State Library has funded Missouri Evergreen since its inception. And Robin has been so wonderful to work with and has made a priority to make sure that Missouri Evergreen continues to be funded and supported us throughout this whole journey. And I just wanted to say thank you for doing that, Robin, and for being so inviting to Missouri Evergreen when we come to you with new ideas about how we want to grow and expand. And I really appreciate that a lot.
Thank you, Shannon. I feel very personal about this. When I was at Livingston County, we were just getting ready to implement before I left there. So I feel very mother hen about Missouri Evergreen, but I'm never going to kick you out of the nest. So we'll leave it at that with that analogy.
Well, thanks, Shannon's appreciation for the state library as we were going through that change, because it was a lot.
Thank you, Colleen.
That's great. Anybody else?
So I have to ask Colleen a question. Do you know the date for your big special nationwide premiere?
Yeah.
We had to submit a 1-minute video to their show, and then they would get back to you on when that is going to happen. But we don't know yet exactly when. We do know it'll be video and they're not gonna fly us to New York. Dang it. That's all we know at this point.
Well, be sure to let us know, because I think a lot of us are going to want to DVR or watch it live or something. In case you don't know, Colleen's library is going to be on the Kelly Clarkson show.
So fun. We all offered to go with her, to help, but never mind now. So awesome.
It's like, okay, I've got an entourage now.
Yeah, a whole entourage. That's right. Well, don't forget that I can't believe our next meeting is December. That to me is shocking, but it is going to be at MPLD. It will be live, which I always look forward to the live ones. And it'll be a December 5th at 10 a.m. at the Stony Creek Hotel in Columbia. If you can break away and join us live, please do. That would be just so great if you could do that. There will, of course, be a Zoom component to that too. So if you can Zoom in, that would be great also. So the next membership meeting will be December 5th, 10 a.m. at the Stony Creek Hotel. So that's coming up quick. Hard to believe. So any last announcements or anything? Well, all right. I'm all about adjourning. Would anyone like to adjourn?
Yes, Terry, I will.
Terry, Kate. Kate, thank you. All
And
right, all in
Terry,
favor?
right at an hour. Look at you.
It's perfect. Thank you. I'm taking full credit for that. All in favor, wave goodbye. And have a fantastic day. Okay.
Bye all.
Bye.